All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our webinar today here at Akiptan. This is diversifying your agribusiness products for your operation. For those of you who are not familiar with who we are here at Akiptan, we are a native community development financial institution, and we do financing in native agriculture. We're located on the Cheyenne River, Lakota Nation in Eagle Butte, South Dakota, and we serve those in native ag nationwide. My name is Dawn LeBeau. I am the Senior Program Officer here with Akiptan, and I also have Justine Kogel, who is a part of our programs team, and Elijah Brewer, who is one of our summer interns with the programs team as well. So we're happy to have you all here with us today. A little bit about Akiptan before we get moving with the webinar. So our mission is to transform native agriculture and food economies by 1, delivering creative capital, 2, leading paradigm changes, and 3, enhancing producer prosperity across Indian country. And we do that in quite a few ways. We'll go ahead and go to the next slide here. So Akiptan is the Lakota word for working together in a cooperative effort, and that is reflected in our lending philosophy. So like CDFIs are similar to banks in the sense that we provide loans, but you cannot deposit money here at our CDFIs. We are different than banks because we are also able to provide technical assistance with our loans, and this TA, what they call it, is allowed in the form of business and goal planning, succession planning, financial literacy trainings, and all of the programming and services that we have developed for our producers. So while there's laws that we have to follow, we are unregulated, and this allows us to be flexible and innovative in all of the things that we do. So we work with our producers as their partners. We are working in a partner solution-based model. So we work with them, not for them. So we genuinely look at our producers as partners, and we value those relationships with them. Since our inception in 2019, we have reached 28 tribal nations. We have committed loan capital to the tune of 27 million, and we have 399 number of loans up to this date. Just a quick overview of our products and services. I'm having a little error on my screen here. Give me 1 second. Okay, so we offer a variety of loan products and services, and they're all designed to increase the agriculture economy in Indian country. Our financial and technical assistance products and services are forever evolving to meet the needs of our producers. So we have our youth loan, our general loan, our operating loan and line of credit, as well as our land mortgage and down payment assistance program. And then on the bottom of the screen here is our technical assistance that I've already mentioned. As far as eligibility for our programs and services, you simply must be involved in the native agriculture field. So this is anything on the food chain from initial production to retail. A few eligible activities can include, but they're not limited to these, farming, ranching, fishing, timber, and retail. So because of our bylaws and our policies, we have to be using our funds to support production in agriculture in some form. And this doesn't include things like rodeo ag or agritourism. So it's okay to come with an idea by doing our intake form, and our loan officers will get you to a final business plan. Our intake form is located on our website. Go ahead and put the link to that in the chat. Oh, I see Elijah already did so. Thank you so much. So another question that we get often is our interest rates. So our interest rates vary quarterly, and they're currently at 1.7% for youth, 3.2% for blended payments, and 5.7% for interest-only payments. So yeah, just an overview of our products and services. All right, as for the topic of our webinar today, Justine and I will kind of be going back and forth in the presentation here, and Elijah will be placing any of the links in the chat if you want to check out any of the things that we mentioned here. So let's talk about diversifying your products for your agribusiness. So over and over, native agribusinesses are always looking for ways to diversify their products. And we want to hear a little bit from all of the participants today. So I'm going to put a question up here on the screen, and you can use the chat to answer this one. So we are curious if any of you are currently considering diversifying your agribusiness products at your operation. Let's see if I can pull up the chat here. A yes, a no, a maybe. If you could just place your answers in the chat, that would be awesome. You can kind of get an idea of why you've attended our webinar today. And while you're doing that, I'm going to jump over to the next slide. Okay, and if you've attended today, just curious, like what does it mean to diversify your agribusiness products? Well, we see it happening already in different cow-calf operations. People are creating other revenue streams for their operations. So they're selling packaged beef and raising your cow-calf operations in that way. People are selling salsas from their garden products. And these help to mitigate risk. So you're not relying on just one product. You have a diverse set of income based on diversifying your products. So this is also helping to provide income during multiple times of the year instead of just having a single product income.
Dawn, can I jump in here?
Please do.
Other than the fact that I forgot to put an E on income, sorry about that, guys. That being said, I also want to bring to light something that as a producer, we're seeing more and more of. And, the last webinar, if you haven't watched it, go ahead and go back on our website, because we do have a website that we kind of did focus on marketing. And one of the things we talked about there was branding. When we talk about diversifying agriculture products, primarily we're thinking of things like the packaged beef along the cow-calf operation, diving into different types of cattle or running sheep alongside cattle. So you have two different revenue streams. But what I've seen a lot of lately is there's been a lot of swag. People are bringing income in off of swag, and some people are doing very well with it when it's marketed right. So that's just another way, I feel like so many of us ranchers, like for us, our brand is KR Rocking. We could build a whole brand out of that. And you see all sorts of different development, but sometimes selling hats and t-shirts and things like that can be another part of diversifying. So just wanted to add that in, Dawn.
Awesome. Thanks, Justine. Yeah, that reminds me and my brother were visiting another town, just a couple towns over, and there was a guy that had a food truck, and on his pickup, he had his logo and his number, and my brother liked the logo, and he was like, "Where's your food truck at? We want to try it." And so, marketing, Justine mentioned our webinar around marketing, like that's part of diversification of your product and things that we're going to talk about today. So yeah, and he talked about how he was getting local produce from local gardeners and farmers and trying to do like farm to table stuff at his food truck. So lots of conversations happen when you advertise your company around town. Okay, so what is diversifying your ag products? It's these three things, but it's much more. So we'll go ahead and just keep moving through the webinar here today. Let me pull up the chat again. Okay, so what are some ways that you see diversification being done in your community? I just named one. Justine, what are some things that you're seeing over there in Montana for diversification? And I also want to name, if y'all haven't been on our webinars before, Justine has packaged beef, so she knows a lot about this.
Yeah, so if any of you are diving into that world, please feel free to reach out. I would be happy to answer any all questions regarding that process. Things that we're seeing over here, I mean, a big focus has been on packaged beef, packaged chickens. We have a lot of that going on, poultry, lambs. In other ways, we're seeing a lot of community gardens come up. And I just absolutely love this. I love this for any and all communities, whether they are a native community or non-native community. But what's really cool is we have seen where communities have came together to rent out a professional kitchen. Certified kitchen is what they're called. And then they're able to take the garden produce and transform it with the value added processes of creating salsa and jams and things that I wish that I knew how to do, but that's what I rely on my grandmas for. I really should be better about that. But people are doing that and they're selling it, and it sells like hotcakes because number one, right now in our country, people are wanting to support, American made, native made, local. And so I think anytime, we're dealing with food sources, proving your safe, healthy, local food sources, and getting that into the hands of the public is a great way to diversify. So that's kind of what we're seeing over here in Montana as kind of the focus areas. But like I said, I also have some ranchers over here that they have some younger kiddos that are in that 15 to 25 age range. And one of the things they did was they got a website going, they used social media, and they started promoting their own brand and had great t-shirts. And they have been able to, assist in purchasing, new pieces of equipment because of that. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing over here.
Awesome. Thanks, Justine. So things that I'm seeing in our community, like we have local gardens and they are selling at farmers markets. They're doing value added. So like canned jellies, canned salsas, dried teas, dried corn, also like educational classes, offering like classes on how to do canning because they are the experts at it now. And let me think other things. Let's just go ahead and pop over to the next slide here. So we listed some ways that it's currently done. This is not everything, of course, but there's different crop varieties. If you're a farmer, you could grow not just one crop, you could do 3 others. If you do custom harvesting, custom planting, you can do seeds and fertilizer. You can raise not only just a variety of crops, but you can do crops and livestock. There's also something called circular agriculture where you're reusing materials and energy. Greenhouses are also a thing. I see a lot of good feedback of people in the short growing season putting up greenhouses so they can have a longer growing season, doing some low tunnels or some hoop houses or even like underground greenhouses too. That's becoming a thing. Farm to table is really big. I have traveled a lot in the last couple years, and a lot of these restaurants are working with local producers to get the local beef, the local poultry, the local pork, things like that, and they name it in their what is it called? The menu. They name who they're working with. And that is encouraging because you know where your product is coming from. You may even know the folks that are running that operation. So farm to table is big across explanation, just so you.
Also, yep, sorry. It's also like if you are able to get in with a local restaurant or for us it's like just a small cafe in town. It's a bar cafe. It's what we have. What's really great is a lot of times they're also small businesses, and so they just heavily promote you throughout the
Mhm.
community, and then you get that marketing consistently, and essentially you're providing for them a service or a product, and they're paying you for that, but they're giving you free marketing too. So that's a big deal when you're looking at expanding your customer base.
Yeah, you're developing partnerships, and those are only going to grow as you continue it. So, a couple more things on the list here: selling hay on the side. If you have the equipment to do so, you can not only put up your own hay, but you can put up your neighbors, and that reputation starts to grow. It could be another way of diversifying what you do. Agritourism is also something that we have recently seen in our own community. We have a local operation that they run, a cow calf operation, and they had advertised, if you want to see what happens at a branding, you can come and join that and be safe there. They have their safety protocols on there and how you can participate and help, and I thought that was really encouraging and exciting. uh,
Um, can you what's the name of that group?
I'll have to look that up, and I can
Yeah,
definitely put it in the follow-up email
I'll
to
see if I
everybody.
can find it because
It
that
was
sounds
on,
awesome.
yeah, it was on Facebook, and then people shared it with me too, so I'll find it. But that was pretty cool to see, because the comment was, "Oh, look who's getting into agritourism," so that was exciting. A couple more things on the list was aquaponics in addition to greenhouses. So a lot of people are learning how to do this style of growing produce and different things indoors. So look that up and check that out. I see that mostly being done on the West Coast, to be quite honest, or maybe even down south, but people are like building their knowledge on that, and that's exciting. Trucking. A lot of folks also do trucking of cattle, trucking of livestock, trucking of hay. That's another way to diversify what you do. Listed on here, breaking horses. It's another way. And consulting. So consulting can be speaking at an event like this. You get an invitation from a local CDFI nonprofit, just any type of entity asking to speak on the knowledge that you have about your operation. That is consulting. They want to hear from the boots on the ground, the producers actually having, the sweat equity in the game and running their operation. So I see that happening a lot. I attend events, and they want producers there. They want to hear from the people that are doing the work. So you'll hear that a lot, and in a lot of our meetings we're like, producers need to be at this event. How do we get them there? Because we need to hear from them. They need to be on this panel. They need to offer their knowledge. So this is definitely just a small list of ways to diversify your agribusiness, but it's very broad, so you can add in details to each and every one of these that are listed on the screen here. If you have any other ideas, please put them in the chat. If you're doing other things or considering other things, please put those in the chat. Elijah has put some more links in here. He put Mr. Beef in there. That's Justine's agribusiness diversification. Morning Light Kombucha, that is a kombucha brewed company, and they actually sell that at one of our local stores here in our community. Sakari Farms, I know they do some classes on food, and that's one way they're diversifying their farm. They not only grow their produce and veggies, but they do like teas and hot sauces. And then they host like a Thursday evening class for folks that want to learn how to do that canning or drying of different herbs. I'm trying to think of the other things that I've heard that they were doing, food boxes for a community. So they volunteer, or they, what's the word? I'm running out of words here. They like gift or like donate. There we go. That's the word I was looking for.
Donate.
Yeah, they donate food boxes to community, and then we have additional beef on here that is also packaged beef on there too. So check those out when you have a minute, and in my follow-up email I'll have all the links to these different things and products. Okay, so we want to diversify what we do. We want to add different things, but what are some of the questions that you're going to have when these come up? So say you're running a cow-calf operation and you're like, I want to do some packaged beef, but I don't necessarily, I've never done it before, but I think it would be great to do that, in my off season time. I mean, it is their off season time, but you want to do it. So who are the people that are doing it? Can you have a conversation with them? And we actually just had this chat in our youth internship. And our students are thinking of like, who are mentors in our community? Who are the experts? And how do we approach them? How do we connect with them? What are they doing that I would also like to do? How can we partner with them? So what are some questions that come to mind when you're thinking about diversifying your agribusiness? Here are some of the challenges worth thinking about when you're talking about these different diversification options. So climate is one of them, right? We are living in times where it's ever changing. We were just talking about the rain, slowing the hay season down just a little bit. When I talked to a couple of ranchers that are putting up their own hay, they're like, I don't want to complain about the moisture we're getting, but I haven't been out there to put up my hay because it's a little wet out there. So they're like, we need the moisture, but we also need to put up the hay. So climate is one thing. Sustainability, like how am I going to sustain this operation and make sure it goes to succession and is profitable and is successful. Shortage in help. We're always going to need help in the things that we do. Like if you're going to add diversification in the form of canning, are you going to need to drive to another town to get those products? Are you going to have to hire an expert or go to some classes to learn what that process is, so that way you're refining what you do? Do you need help with that? These are some great questions worth thinking about. The cost of things. So revisiting your business plan and looking at your cash flow and your balance sheet, talking to your loan officer about this wild idea. Like, can we look at my financials to see if this is actually doable? And if I'll be making some money on this, let's plug some numbers, because that is highly important. And, if you're a client here with us, call your loan officer with that wild idea. They want to hear about it. They want to look at those numbers with you and make sure that it's going to be worth your time. Or if you need to maybe wait a little bit, maybe. Yeah. So things like that. Irrigation, that's always a big topic. Like we know irrigation fluctuates from region to region. And that kind of goes along with climate. So what do those things look like? What questions do you need to ask yourself? And then of course we put cost of things on here, but startup costs to diversify that. What would you do? What skill set do you need? Are you going to hire contractors? Are you going to hire staff? And what does it look like to change your structure? We'll talk a little bit more about that as we move through here, but earlier we mentioned like maybe in your slow season, how much time is it going to take in that slow season? And what does your current schedule look like? Do you have that extra time? So just being honest about the challenges that come with it, like we want to find solutions, we want to find ways to diversify, but we want to think of the reality of things. Justine, is there anything that you want to add to like some of the challenges we're thinking about, or build off of one of these?
Yeah, Don, actually, when you said the reality of it, I was thinking realistic. That's one thing that we found out, sometimes the hard way, but you have to be very realistic with the time constraints that we are in as agricultural producers. And most of us, we have families as well. some of us have other jobs as well as the agriculture. When Don talked about running those numbers and sitting down with any of us here at Akiptan or your local bank or whoever you're comfortable with, I think it's really important to be honest about your time commitment availability as well as the cash flow. What does that actually look like? For our operation, I'll use it as an example. To me, it did not cash flow to do the shipping of beef. We've had a lot of people ask about shipping beef. For some folks, they're good to go with that. But because of where I live and how long it would take me to get the beef into town to a shipping point, and back and forth, it just was not realistically logical for our operation to do a shipping of frozen beef. Um, those are some of the things that you're like, "Ooh," because it felt like we could make a lot of money doing that. But when we looked at the shipping costs and the transportation costs of getting back and forth and everything that we needed to do that, it was not feasible. So I would highly recommend, as you're looking at diversifying, come to us, or a trusted financial figure in your life to really run those feasibility studies, to find out if diversifying in that way, what it's going to bring to your operation. And sometimes it takes a year or so to really see the fruits of those labors, um, but keep up with it. Diversifying in any way, shape, or form, I don't think is a bad thing, but I think being very realistic about it, and time commitments, is very important.
Well, yeah, exactly. So there's steps to start, right? And we kind of touched on a few of the things to think about, but we've also added some very detailed things that we'll go over here in a second. So what are the steps to diversifying your agribusiness? What are like the 1, 2, 3s? The first one that we want to talk about is revisiting your business plan. So do you have a business plan? And is it a solid blueprint for your business? Well, we know that business plans are ever changing, right? This is like your long-term goal, and these are the things you want to do. You have your short-term goals, and you have your like SWOT analysis in there, as well as your financials. So that will change, right? If you diversify things and you add something new, and maybe you need to do like a separate arm to that, or maybe it needs to be updated and revised. If you don't have a business plan developed, like that is highly recommended as a place to start, because we can have all these cool ideas in our head and think, I'm going to make a lot of money on doing that. And then you put it all down on paper, you crunch the numbers, and that is where the reality sets in. And you're like, okay, yeah, this is going to be great. I'm going to make some extra income here. And here's where my SWOT analysis is telling me where I have weaknesses. Like, no, I am not an expert at canning salsas and jellies, and I am not an expert on where even the farmers markets are. But that's where you get to be realistic about things. So a lot of folks will tell you start with a business plan, because your idea could be great, but without putting in pen to paper and writing it all down, it's kind of hard to see the realities of it and to see how profitable it will be. So ask yourself these questions. Do you have one? Yes, it's good. Yes, but it needs to be revised. We know that we can always revise our business plan. No, I need to develop one. And if you need to develop one, we have templates on our website. We have one just right in, I think Elijah's going to put it in the chat. Yep, there it is. So there's our business plan in the chat. You can use that as a template. And it's not the only one available, right? There's a lot of different templates available, and you're welcome to adjust this and amend it to whatever your idea is as needed. So if you need assistance on developing one, we are here to help you with that. We have tailored some webinars to it. We have some cohorts, like our Owoju Garden Grant program that we host every year, where we develop a business plan. And in our internship right now, our youth that are all across the nation, we have 5 of them, they're developing business plans about their ideas. And they're like, what does my community need? And one of the ideas, and they're all brilliant ideas, all 5 of the ideas are great. One of the ideas was a butcher shop. They noted that there's a need for it and they would like to see that in community. Another is a vet center.
Mhm.
Amazing, right? Everybody is always having to drive at least an hour or 2 in our rural communities for a vet. And if we had one local, that would be ideal. So some great ideas coming out of our youth internship for native agriculture. So business plan is a perfect place to start. And Justine, I know you have comments and I want to hear them.
That's fine. I just wanted to add to the conversation about business plans. Sometimes I feel like, and I'm saying this because this is my husband, he doesn't really realize, and I would say this if he was right here. He's actually in the other room, so he can't hear me. But I would tell him this if he was right here, you guys. Sometimes I think we in agriculture, as farmers and ranchers, we kind of forget that we are running an actual business. Um, we have the financials at the end of the year that we get to the tax account, and we get to the banker, but sometimes I think we forget to look at that full picture of what a business plan could do for us. So as I looked at your options here on the revisit the business plan, I love the no, I don't need one, because that would be William. And then I would be in the background saying, wait, hold on, you do. So if you are running any type of an operation, if you are filing a Schedule F or self-employment or anything like that, you are running a business. So I would encourage you, if you do not have one, the template that we've developed is great. It can be tailored to what you need. If you guys want one-on-one help, that's what we're here for.
Yeah,
So definitely reach out. Not to throw William under the bus, but he would be. He'd be like, I don't need that. I'm like, yes, you do. We need that for our banks. We need that for taxes. We need that for everything. And we need it to guide us. That's our goals and objectives. So,
definitely. Yeah, we threw that no, I don't need one in there to see, because originally we were going to put this on like a quiz and see if somebody clicked that. But if you're in this webinar and you're in agribusiness, we feel like you do need one. But this is also like, no, I don't need one, because my business plan is pretty great and I made one.
you
Different
read
ways to look at it.
I was like, I'm thinking about my husband, and I'm like, oh, William be like, oh yeah, that's not something I need.
um,
Oh, that's good stuff.
Interesting. Um, so another thing that we have placed on here, like, think about your customers. What kind of things do they have in common? And this is going to line up with social marketing, the webinar that Justine mentioned. You're going to have to think about your clientele and where that fits in. That's part of your business plan. Like, who are you marketing to? What do they need? What kind of services are they going out of town for? And how are you going to get that information? So some folks had said, I can do a survey. I can just word of mouth by visiting people, like, oh, we need a vet center, we need a butcher shop, things like that. So think of that, of course. And then there's key decisions of starting all of these things. So some of the key decisions listed in today's webinar include labor. Will you need more help, more staff? Or is what you have like sufficient for what you want to do? And maybe you have like you and your family and y'all are ready to like, yes, let's take on this endeavor and we're going to get trained on how to be successful in this. But you need to write this down, right? What is the labor needed to make your operation successful? Because what you're already doing has been successful. Or you need to fine tune things, but how many more staff members will you need to diversify things? So labor is one of the key things to look at. You also want to look at repairs, which goes right in line with finances. So, you'll need to budget for repairs, and what are the ongoing maintenance costs going to be for some of the things that you're going to be doing in that diversification process. So maybe you want to host those cooking classes from your garden, and you need a kitchen. Where is that kitchen? Are you going to add it to your operation because you already have a building? Lots of questions around repairs and equipment. The next one on here is taxes. So how much of your profits need to be put aside for taxes? What kind of new taxes are you going to have to pay? Are you going to have to pay sales tax? How's that changing? So you would need to ask, your tax person, like, how is this going to shift for me? Debt repayment. So are you going to have to take out another note for this or another loan for this? How's that going to affect your budget and your financials? Certification. So we'll go into this just a little bit more here in a little bit, but are you going to need new types of food safety certifications? Is there any classes or certifications that can take this business kind of to the next level? What are those? Write those questions down. Like, what will I need? And this is something you can ask the folks that are doing what you would like to do. Like, how are you running things around here? Or what would I need? So certifications, licenses. So are you going to have to purchase licenses in different areas? Like, what does that look like for the city, the state, the national region? Like, where are you selling and what do you need? It's kind of going back to what Justine named about selling online. Are there things that you need for that? You got to find those questions. And yeah,
A lot of times, Don, the tribe will require their own. Or in a lot of tribal nations that I've been around, they require their own tribal licensing. So that's something you want to check on as well.
Yep. So you may need a tribal one and a state one, sales tax licenses, things like that. The next one in here is insurances. So are you going to need new different insurances for your business? Maybe you bought some new equipment for your canning or your processing and you need equipment insurance. And what is that going to cost you? Like, great questions to ask. Okay, the last one on here is business structure. So is what you're doing now incorporating the diversification? What's the best business structure for your enterprise? If you go to the SBA site, you can look at all the different structures that they have there. I think Elijah has that link and we'll put it in the chat for us. All right, but we'll look at all these. Let's go ahead and just move into licenses. So Justine touched on this, like, does your tribe or your local tarot office require a different license? Does your state? So how much do they cost? So once you've identified those required licenses, you're also going to ask yourself, do I need to renew this every year? How many years does this last? How many months does this last? Are there additional fees? And what does this cover? What does this license cover for me? Like, if I'm getting a food safety license, what kind of foods am I going to be able to process under this license? So like processing centers, it varies from livestock to livestock is what I'm understanding. And if you go to the Native American Agriculture Fund site, they have some really good webinars from Chris Roper. He does a really good job of helping to identify what those are. So we can put those links in the follow-up email as well. I'm just going to make myself a quick note here.
One of the things also on licensing is that we've noticed a lot of changes in licensing over the years. So what you thought maybe once was a rule or a law, I want you guys to make sure you double check on those things. There's been a lot of changes and updates into local foods. Some of them have become a lot easier to sell. Some of them have become a little bit more difficult, and it varies from state to state. So just be sure to check that out as you're moving into these type of businesses.
Thanks, Justine. The other thing that was mentioned in one of our Woju programs was cottage licensing on tribal nations for like gardening and value-added stuff. So check with your tribal nation to see if that is something that is required there, something that you can apply for. Just doing a simple Google search and reaching out to an experienced expert or mentor, or contacting your local state and federal resource centers is extremely helpful. They're always willing to offer information, like that is their job, is to get those resources and information to you. So I went ahead and put in the chat the structure and link, but there's also a license one too that I'm going to find here. It'll be in the email when I send out things. But for those of you who want to see it now, there it is. So applying for licenses and permits are in there. And my slides are jumping ahead on me. Okay, so that's a little bit about licenses and why it's important to educate yourself on those pieces. Let's go ahead and move into like certification. So it's important to ask what certifications might be needed for your business and what it may take to get your business to the next level. So often you can obtain a certificate after completing certain coursework or training on specific topics. And then passing a test. We didn't mention this in one way to diversify your business, but there was a conversation about using a drone on your operation. So if you add that to your diversification, you'll have to think about how that's going to be done, but there's a certificate that you can get online. I know there are some free classes at different tribal nations down south. Those have already happened, but we know that they're being offered to community. So obtaining certificates like that, or the food safety one, I know there's tribal programs that offer those, and you can take those so that way you can sell your value added stuff at a farmer's market, or set up a food stand if you want to do some sample stuff. You just want to be very keen on meeting certain standards and whatever those certifications are. So the like Serve Safe certification, for example, shows that your food operation is safe by verifying that the manager, the supervisor, the staff that are serving the food have the sufficient food safety knowledge to protect public from all the things that, you know, we want to prevent, like foodborne illnesses and things like that. So, and I know our tribal nation does a really good job of trying to keep up on that stuff. And I've heard really good things about other tribal nations. There is a food safety class that is offered by IFAI, the Indigenous Food and Agriculture Initiative. It's online. Megan Baldy, actually, if you get in contact with her, she will come to your tribal community, offer that class free of charge, is what I last heard. I might need to be corrected, but we have her in our Woju program too, and she does a really good presentation on food safety, and it's pretty great. If anyone wants a copy of that recording, we have that as well. That's more of an internal recording, but you're welcome to obtain that too. So to obtain certifications, there's like a 60-minute video, 90-minute video. You have to answer some questions, do multiple choice exam to know that you know what the key standards are, and then you can become certified in that. So we'll share that link as well. And let's go, what's the time check? So we got about 15 minutes.
1 minute. Don, I just
Oh, let me go.
Oh, sorry. I was just going through on IFAI's website while on their YouTube, and she's got a really cool video on Farmers Market 101. I
Mm.
might drop that link into our box here, so that way if anybody's interested, they can definitely grab a hold of that.
Right. And for those of you that are considering packaged beef, at our local farmers market, we have packaged beef vendors set up and you can purchase directly from them in the summertime, and it's pretty great. So thank you for naming that. All right, so we touched on insurances. It's also important to research all of these things. I put that link in the chat. So once you hire staff, if that's something you need to do, you want to look at workers' compensation insurance. SBA in that link I shared has very valuable information on that. Feel free to give them a call. We've attended some SBA things and they've always been very helpful, and they want to help small businesses and they want to get you the resources that you need. It would also be helpful to shop around and speak with a few different local insurance agents to see what they can offer and check out their pricing situation. Folks already doing what you want to do might be able to help you and put you in the right direction. So once you know the different types of insurances for the value added stuff or the diversification businesses that you want to offer, that can be things like workers' compensation, employment, disability, small business, general liability, professional liability. There's quite a lot. Commercial property insurance, commercial auto insurance. And then again, it goes back to finances. What are these going to cost you? Talk with your loan officer and, run those numbers, see what it looks like. So that link is in the chat too. All right, so processing, what are you processing? Are you gonna need to work with local facilities? We touched on kitchen safety aspects, but are you gonna need a certain separate kitchen for that? Like if you're gonna do some value-added canning, can you do that in your home? Do you need a specific kitchen to do that? And what I've learned in our Wojo program is there is a separation process in that. So being knowledgeable on those. And then the cottage law that I mentioned earlier before, like getting information from your tribal authorities about that. You want to know who you're selling to, what your market is, and if you're having inspections. I know in some communities, those inspectors, they can pop up whenever they want, or they can schedule and you can kind of have some prepping time. And they look at everything. They look at your food station where you prep. They look at your equipment. They look at your freezers. And, you want to have flying colors for those inspections. And if it's not, then you have the chance of being put on pause to get things up to, code. So other things
For a minute, Dawn. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to pass it to you to talk about custom exempt and things like that.
Quickly, just on Don's the inspection process and that whole part of processing. I just want to tell you guys, when you guys are going in, if you are having somebody else process your meat, your vegetables, something else, if you are paying a processor, I would encourage you to go in, look at the facility. I don't call ahead and say, hey, I'm coming. Just go in and look at the facility. If you're happy with it, excellent. If there's stuff that's questionable, find a different facility. The reason that we have inspectors is to keep everybody safe. It's to keep those of us that are selling these products safe. It's for keeping the public safe. So as much as we all are like, oh, another inspector, another piece of red tape, I really want to encourage you guys to remember that that's protecting you. So just that FYI on that. Do you want me to talk about the different labels, John?
Yeah, that'd be great.
When we're talking about meat processing, and that is a big part of diversifying on a cow-calf operation, there's a few different things that you want to be aware of. There are different types of inspection levels. Custom exempt is basically for your own use. You can also use custom exempt if you are selling an animal to somebody else. They can take that animal to a custom exempt processor. Some of the best processors I know are custom exempt, and they just don't have the facility to make it to the state level. But you have to be aware, like you can't sell that retail meat when it's been processed at a custom exempt place. They're state inspected. State inspected is getting a little looser, and I mean that in a good way. Like in some states, you can sell from state to state in a border. So, like because I live in Montana, I could sell to Wyoming as long as it's been inspected in Montana. And then when you get to USDA, that's fair game. You can sell that across the nation if it is at a USDA inspected plant. Ship it anywhere you want. It's a great thing to have access to. If you are looking at going and doing snack sticks, jerky, things that could be more shelf stable and doing shipping or getting them into stores, you're going to have to be on the USDA side. So.
Thanks, Justine. I also want to name like the Indigenous Agriculture Council's American Indian Foods, who are doing similar things to that. I'll put the link in the chat. There's a lot of different Native American, let's see, did I share the right one? Yeah, I did. Okay, there's a lot of different Native American producers that have their products listed on there. So go ahead and take a minute to check that out. There's a really cool video on there of some foraging and rice harvesting. It's pretty great. So we got about 9 minutes left. So we'll just go through the last few slides here. Folks are welcome to ask questions anytime something comes up for you. You are welcome to use the chat. And of course, this is recorded, so you can reference it later as well. But we had another webinar last month called Using Social Media to Market Your Agribusiness. So in that video, they talked about identifying who your customers are, what they care about, where your agribusiness is positioned in the market, how your products and services uniquely meet your customers' needs and desires, and who will be responsible for marketing of your new product. So that's another piece that Justine kind of touched on, that maybe you have a family member that is really good at this stuff, and maybe you are good at it yourself. And then what are the tools that you can use to create your marketing stuff? And in that webinar, they list a lot of really good free or low cost resources for producers to utilize. And I'll share the link or the QR code for that here in the next slide. Okay, we have a whole library of webinars though to help your agribusiness operation. Please take a moment. There is like 3 years of webinars in our library, and we want you all to watch those at your convenience, and that's why they're recorded every time. And anytime you have a question on it, just make a note and send Justine or I or your loan officer the question, and we'll help you. After this social media marketing one, we had some emails come in from different producers asking for support of different things like their logo or how do I market my food truck, things like that. So we're here to help, and we want you to have access to all the resources. Quick recap. So we talked about what does it mean to diversify your agribusiness, some ways that it is currently being done. What are things to think about, like the challenges, the climate stuff, sustainability, and then we talked about steps to getting started. So first and foremost, revisit your business plan, go over your key decisions, and look at those different pieces that are in that business plan. You're going to talk about licenses, certificates, insurances, processing, marketing, and it's not listed on here, but this is a key point, your financials. So let's check the chat, see if there's any questions or comments. Nothing right now. Okay. Justine, do you have anything to add to this as we close out here?
I don't. I just really want to encourage you guys. You know, no idea is a bad idea. I like off the wall things. That's what we specialize in, and you know, we're able to be flexible with you guys and try and help in any way that we can. So please, if you've got some random idea that's been rolling around in the back of your head to add to your operation and you want somebody to run it by, reach out. That's what we're here for.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, just some final things to talk about. So we did a market study in 2022. We talk about this every time we present, and we have some key findings. This is not all of the findings, but you can find this on our website. I will put the link in the chat. Check out our market study. Some of the key things, and I won't go into detail due to the time, but in that, we identified that there was 43 billion in unmet need for Native American producers across the US. More producers want to grow their operation in either volume or diversification. And so we host webinars like this so that we can support in solutions, right? Solution-based. 43% of producers were wanting to have more knowledge on land issues. So we have some webinars with the Indian Land Tenure Foundation, so you all can be more knowledgeable on those. 75% of the participants have off-farm income. It's quite a high percentage, right? Here's a couple more. So 51% of Native producers expressed a need for additional training and technical assistance related to sustainability, climate change, and conservation planning. So we have a lot of different programming coming up for that. We have a webinar coming up for that next month with our Climate Smart Program Officer, Craig Harry. So please tune in for that. A couple more things on here in our market study. A lot of them wanted more advocacy on the Hill. We do that by partnering with different folks like the Native Farm Bill Coalition. They do a lot of work on the Hill for Native ag producers. 48% felt like an overall loan application process across the board, that includes everybody, even us here at CDFIs, could be improved. So we're doing things on our end to partner and do things better. And then only 27% of participants had a succession plan. So we hosted a succession planning webinar. We have some tools here in our office. I'll go over theirs here in a minute, but that's our market study, y'all. Check it out on our website. It is a huge document and it is worth reading. I'm not even all the way through it because I'm just reading it piece by piece to come up with different ideas to support our producers. All right, two other things. We have some USDA food business partnerships. And the first one I want to mention is our North Central USDA Regional Food Business Center. So this is specific for Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota producers. You have the option to apply for their programming and their grant. It's already closed for this year, but it's going to be open next year. It is a 5-year program. So we'll share that link so you all can learn more about how that can help for folks to diversify their agribusiness products. But we also have something similar, which is the Intertribal Agriculture Council Food Business Center. So this one is in a survey development stage and more information will come, but this is similar where we are a partner with them. We will be doing technical assistance with them to support the growth and expansion of small, mid-sized food and farm businesses. So stay tuned, join our newsletter, sign up for those so you can learn more about those coming up. I'm running out of time here. I want to talk about youth programs. So we have our scholarship that opens every year in January. We support Native American high school students that are pursuing an agriculture business degree, and that can be at a VOTech school, a vet tech school. That is opening in January. Please let your high school seniors know about this opportunity. Let them contact them, have them contact me so I can help them with that. We are currently in our youth summer internship, and that's where I talked about our students doing business plan around Native agriculture business. So what we do is we partner with folks that are doing agriculture. They learn hands-on stuff at the farmer's market, the farm, the garden, the buffalo program. They do hands-on stuff there, and then they do financial literacy with us online once a week. So that is next summer. Keep an eye out for that because we already have our interns for this summer. And then we also have our youth business plan contest for students ages 16 to 18. That is opening next year again. It has already closed this year. We offer cash prizes for the top 3 business plans with that. So keep an eye out for these things and let your students know about these opportunities for financial support for all the things that they're doing. All right, a couple more things here, y'all. Curriculums, we have our financial management guide for ranchers. It's online on our website. We also have physical copies here. We have our Introducing Native Agriculture, which is a guide for young entrepreneurs on our website, available here as well. And then what we have coming soon is our financial management guide for agribusinesses. And a lot of what we talked about today will be in that booklet. So keep an eye out for that. If you haven't signed up for our newsletter, please do so. You'll be the first to know when that hits our website. And last but not least, but our succession guide is available on our website, along with our rancher record keeping book. Both very, very helpful tools for your operation. And here is a list of our upcoming webinars. We have Implementing Climate Smart Practices on August 20th with Craig Harry, Stress Management in Agriculture, September 26th, and then our annual General Tax Overview with Rob Holcomb, which is always important for everybody in their agriculture operation. So we hope to see you all at the upcoming webinars, but in the meantime, check out our website for all free financial planning information by scanning the code, or just visit our website. You'll see the link on there. And then last and not least, but I've been saying this the whole webinar, sign up for our newsletter. That's where you're going to see all the cool things that we do. You'll be the first to know. But thank you so much for joining our webinar, guys, today. The recording is going to be on our website. Thank you, Justine and Elijah, for helping on the back end and offering your knowledge and expertise. Everybody have a great day, and email us with any questions.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.